In policing, your firearm is a crucial bit of equipment that must remain reliable under all conditions. Today, we're going to go through how to strip and inspect your in-service firearms after being exposed to water. Modern day pistols like Glocks are extremely tolerant to harsh conditions. However, water exposure that's left unattended can cause things like corrosion, and we want to address this as soon as possible. Before we do any servicing or maintenance of our firearms, we want to make sure that it is in the unloaded and safe condition. So before we go any further, we're going to make sure that our weapon is safe, either by going to an unload drum or finding a safe direction. Removing your magazine, cocking the weapon to the rear and holding it to the rear, ensuring that any round in the chamber has been extracted. From there, you want to visually and, if need be, physically inspect in the chamber and make sure that it's clear. The next thing we need to do is put our slide back forward so it's ready to be stripped. The first thing you want to do is, in a safe direction, pull the trigger. Next thing we need to do is take the slide off the frame. How we're going to do this is adopt the armourer's grip with your web of the hand, placing it high up in the beaver tail, index over the slide, and you want to pull the slide back about 5 mil. From there, with the locking lugs, you want to push down and your slide should come off like so. Now that we have our frame and our slide assembly, we can go ahead and take out our spring. Pushing your recoil spring out like so. If you have an older pistol, your recoil spring will look like this. Next thing you want to do is take out the barrel. And now your Glock is field stripped. Now that our Glock is field stripped, we want to go ahead and inspect it. The first thing you want to start is by having a look at your frame. Make sure that there's no build-up of any mud or gunk on this. The next thing you want to have a look at is your barrel, making sure that there's no pitting or rust build-up, especially on your hood. Next thing you want to have a look at is your slide, ensuring that there's no rust or pitting on the outside of your slide. From here, once you've fully inspected your Glock, you're good to go ahead and start cleaning. Now that you've cleaned your Glock, it's time to put it back together. The first thing we're going to start off with is your slide group. You want to grab your slide and your barrel. Sliding your barrel in first, how we know it's the right way is flip it up and there should be nothing protruding past. From there, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and put your recoil spring in. How we know our recoil spring is seated correctly, place it in front of your eye and it should be level. Once again, if you have a different model Glock, this is your recoil spring, ensuring that the point goes towards the front of the barrel. The next part we're going to go through is putting your slide back onto the frame. The important part here is, if you're forcing the slide on in any way, stop and start again. Starting at the front guide rails, placing a slide on, running nice and smooth, cocking your Glock all the way to the rear and holding there. Now that our gun is put back together, we're going to go through the test of assembly. While the slide is to the rear, we're going to go through our safety first, ensuring that there is no round in the chamber by visually and physically checking if need be. Next thing we need to do is release the slide forward. This ensures that the slide doesn't come off and the locking lugs are working correctly. The next test we're going to do is our magazine test. You want to ensure that you have an empty magazine, placing that on your gun and giving it a tug, making sure that the magazine stays seated. The next thing you want to do is rack the weapon and the slide should hold to the rear. From here, you want to drop your magazine freely, magazine falls freely. The next part you want to do is release your slide forward. Now from here, we're going to go through our trigger safety. Placing your finger on either side of the trigger, You want to pull back and ensure that the weapon does not fire. The next thing you want to do is, in a safe direction, pull your trigger and the weapon should fire. Once you've pressed your trigger and the audible click has been heard, you can then release your finger off the trigger and re-rack your gun. If at any time during your inspection or maintenance you notice there's any rust buildup or anything that looks abnormal, get it to your armourer as soon as possible. Your service firearms must remain reliable in all conditions. By taking a few moments to inspect and maintain your service firearms after water exposure will prevent long-term issues with your firearm and ensure that it functions correctly when you need it most. If you found this video helpful, give us a subscribe, comment if you'd like to see anything further. Cheers, legends.